Hello my dear students, I'm back with another lesson. The topic of my lesson today is the summary of the play The Proposal, written by Anton Chekhov, episode 1. Since it is not possible to cover the entire play in one episode, I have divided the play into many episodes, and this is the first episode of my first session, and I will be talking to you about all the important characters and giving you a hint of the first half of the summary. Before I move further, let me repeat the drill that this video is not a substitute for your primary textbook. It is mandatory for you all to read your textbook first and then use this video as a secondary reference. And while watching this video, please have your book open and also have a pen or pencil in your hand and then watch the video. Anton Chekhov, the writer of the play The Proposal, his full name is Anton Pavlovich Chekhov. Okay, now a professional medical doctor and the master of short stories, Anton Chekhov is well regarded as a Russian writer, short story writer, and a renowned writer of all time. Okay, and he was a modernist. I mean, he played a very important role in also gave a lot of contribution in modernism. Therefore, he is also known as modernist. Okay, some of his important works are The Seagull, The Three Sisters, and The Cherry Orchard. Now, talking about the title, that is The Proposal, the original title of the play is A Marriage Proposal, and it is written in the style of one-act play. Now, what is one-act play? One-act play is a play with one act and one or more scenes. Now, in William Shakespeare's play, in full-fledged play, you will see William Shakespeare's play has 5 acts, okay, and under that act, it has multiple scenes, but in one-act play, you will have only one act and 1 or 2 scenes, okay. So, everything starts and ends within one particular act. So, this one-act play follows 3 elements, that is unity of time, place and action. Unity of time, it is the play completes within 24 hours. If you see in Proposal, the entire action completes within 1 day. Okay, it won't take 2 or 3 days, but it will complete. The entire scene completes within one particular day. In fact, some 3-4 hours, within 3-4 hours only. Unity of place, that means in one act play you will always have one particular place. Like for example, in the play Proposal, it is Chubukov's house that forms the setting of the play, that is one place. Okay. Now, unity of action, one act. So, matlab, everything happens within that particular place, within 1 hour and with one action. There's no other subplots happening, but they go other scenes, minor scenes or subplots happening. Okay. Now, to sum up, one act play has one theme developed through one situation to one climax. भनेको मतलब तपाईको one act play मा एउटा particular theme हुन्छ. That theme they'll carry and create a situation, and from that situation you will have one particular problem, and from that particular problem your scene is extended further, and त्यहीबाट तिम्रो के हुन्छ climax हुन्छ, and that will how leads to resolution. Okay, resolution meaning the end. Okay, and it deals with the problem of marriage. Probably is the one act play, probably the common theme would be the problem of marriage, which you will see in the play, that is The Proposal. Tapaiko Proposal play ma pani ke cha, the problem is basically about marriage. Okay, and it is a farce. What is a farce? The entire play is a farce. Farce भनेको a comic play with a disorganized plot and strange situation. Of course, right? The play Proposal is a comedy. So what is the purpose of comedy? The purpose of comedy is to arouse laughter. भनेको मतलब हामीलाई के हुन्छ हाँस उठ्छ. It is just to set your mood in a very light way, right? And त्यहाँदेखि के पनि हुँदैन रहेछ तपाईको the plot is very disorganized. If you see एउटा दुईटा सीन हुँदै 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 आउँछ प्रपोजलमा पनि there is no particular organized plot happening. Okay, there are some random scenes that's coming, random dialogues coming, and the plot is in a way unorganized, disorganized. Okay, and strange situations matlab you'll get to know through the dialogues and through the actions of the characters, you will understand that the characters are pretty strange and the thoughts which they develop in their head is also absurd, strange. Okay, so this is the entire motive of the play Proposal, that is to evoke laughter, that is comic, it's a comedy. Okay, and also to express the theme of what? Marriage, that is the proposal. So the three important elements you all have to know before you read a play is first the setting, the plot and the character, which I have not mentioned in my slides. But setting manale ke bujhincha the place of action. So kaha cha proposal play ma Chibuku's place. Characters, three important characters that I will eventually discuss in my next slide. Okay, and the plot also we will talk about it with time. Okay, now plunging into the main characters of the play, the proposal, there are three important characters, and the first character is Stefanovich Chibukov, who is the landowner and the father of Natalia. One very important character. When the play opens, you will get to see him first. Okay, followed by Natalia Stefanova, she is the daughter of Chibukov and the friend of Lomov. Okay, and the third important character of the play is Ivan Vasovich Lomov. He is also a landowner and a neighbor of Chibukov. So entire play revolves around these three characters. So you all must remember the name and the spelling of the characters correctly, which is very important for your exam. Now, talking about the main play, that is the proposal, the scene opens with Chibukov sitting in his drawing room, followed by the entry of Lomov, who is fully dressed and wears gloves in his hand. So on seeing Lomov, Chibukov is surprised, and he basically wonders that, or thinks that Lomov has come to borrow money from him, and he eventually thinks that he would not give him it away. Now, Lomov says to Chibukov that actually he has come there to ask the hand of whom? Natalia, for marriage. And Chibukov is extremely happy, surprised and happy to hear the news. In fact, he is off balance out of joy. And there he says, so Lomov says, 1 minute, this very minute, the fact is, I have come to ask the hand of your daughter, Natalia Stefanova, in marriage. So Chibukov's reaction is joyfully, he's surprised, he's very happy. Okay, kusi bhaisakyo. By Jove, Ivan Vasovich, say it again. I didn't hear it all. So what he meant is like, I'm so happy, he's so happy because what? Lomov is the owner of a land, he has enough property, he is in a way rich, and Natalia has also reached a marriageable age. Okay, so बिहा गर्ने उसको उमेर भइसक्यो उसको छोरीको. So त्यही कारणले केटा नपाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ के हुन्छ जब लोमोभले प्रपोजल अगाडि राख्छ बिहाको प्रपोजल, so Chibukov is extremely happy out of joy. Okay, and he says, okay, why not? I have not mentioned one particular line. Then after that, Chibukov also says that, Natalia is equally in love with you. She is madly in love with you. She is like a cat who's madly in love with her mate. So this is what, Chibukov's reaction is. But Lomov, on the other hand, is nervous, tensed, because he has come with what? The proposal, and he worries whether Natalia will give her consent or not. Whether Natalia चाहिँ के गर्छ उसको proposal-लाई के गर्छ accept गर्छ कि गर्दैन भनेर. यहाँ Lomov चाहिँ on the other hand is very tensed. Okay, so the action is quite comic, but I can't enact right in a way. So this is what the first scene, the meat is about. So I have not given a line by line explanation of the play. It is quite difficult. So what I have done is I have divided into paragraphs. I have divided into some sections like the meat, the reason, the disease. So in a way, that's why I tell you this is a secondary reference. So once you have finished reading the text, you read this, you watch this, and you will understand this much better. Okay. Now after this meet, Lomov gives his reason to marry Natalia. He says that Natalia is an excellent housekeeper, she's an average looking woman and educated too. So Lomov on the other hand has already reached the age of 35, which according to him is a very critical age. Okay, so he wants to marry Natalia and live a very regular, straight and quiet life. Okay, so that's why he says, he gives these reasons to whom? To Chibukov, and he says, this is the dialogue of Lomov said to whom? Chibukov. Okay, and he says, Natalia Stevanova is an excellent housekeeper, not bad looking, well educated. What more do I want? Yes, what more does he want? Okay, she has everything what a man requires. But I am getting a noise in my ears from excitement. He is very excited to present this news. Therefore, he is listening all sorts of noise inside his ears. And it's impossible for me not to marry. In the first place, I'm already 35, a critical age. So 35, the age of 35 for men is according to Lomov a critical age. Therefore, he must get married. Okay. So to speak, in the second place, second reason. So first reason what he gave? Age 35. Second reason for Lomov to marry whom? Natalia is, I ought to lead a quiet and regular life. So what he wants a very quiet, silent and a regular, straight life. Does not want any hustle bustle in his life. So these are the two important reasons that Lomov gives to marry whom? Natalia. Number one, he is already 35, a critical age. Number two, he wants to live a silent, regular and straight life with whom? Natalia. And number three, the main reason is that she is an excellent housekeeper, educated and a good looking woman. Okay, so this is very important for you all to remember the reason why Lomov wanted to marry Natalia. Therefore, I have titled it as Reason to Marry Natalia. Okay, now after the reason, he says something else which is quite weird. He says that he suffers from what? Palpitations, and he often gets upset easily, and he suffers from this weird disease that he feels whenever he sleeps or tries to sleep. He feels a pull in his left shoulder and head and jumps, walks here and there, and blabbers certain things and gets a kind of panic attack, and he gets more than 20 times at night. And that's quite funny and absurd and strange and weird. Okay, and he says, see what he says, okay. He says, Lomov says, I suffer from palpitations. Palpitations when go heartbeat fast hono, right? Rapid movement of your heartbeat, okay. And I am excitable and always getting awfully upset. He easily gets upset. Meaning, okay, he is quite sensitive. So you have to understand that this person is very sensitive and easily gets upset with whatever things he hears and gets what? Palpitations. At this very moment, my lips are trembling, and there's a twitch in my right eyebrow. अब अहिले पनि उले भन्दै गर्दा यो चुबुकुवलाई भन्दै गर्दाखेरि उसले के हुँदै रहेछ यति बेला उसको ओठ lips are trembling काम्दै रहेछ. Okay, and there's a twitch in my right eyebrow भनेको आँखा फुरफुराउनुलाई twitching भन्छ. Twitching of your eyebrow means आँखा फुरफुराउनु. अब उसको राइट पट्टिको आँखा पनि फुरफुराउँदै रहेछ, ओठ पनि काम्दै रहेछ. अब इमेजिन गर न एउटा मान्छेलाई गर्दै यस्तो गर्दै भन्दै गरेको. So this is basically to arouse laughter. Okay, It is quite weird and funny. But the very worst of all is the way I sleep. So he says, the way I sleep. Okay, now what is it? I no sooner get into the bed and begin to go off when suddenly something in my left side gives a pull. Left side and I can feel it in my shoulder and head. Okay, उसको टाउको र शोल्डरको लेफ्ट साइडमा चाहिँ उसलाई फिल हुँदैछ त्यो तानेको जस्तो. ओके, एन्ड आई जम्प अप लाइक अ ल्युनाटिक भनेको पगलाहरू जस्तो. ओके, म्याड पर्सन. सो ऊ चाहिँ उफ्रिँदै रहेछ पगला मान्छे जस्तो राति. ओके, त्यो पुल फिल भएर वक अबाउट अ बिट एन्ड लाई डाउन अगेन. सो राति चाहिँ हिँड्दै रहेछ धताको जस्तो निन्द्रामा हिँड्छ नि, स्लिप वकिङ जस्तो. अब यतिकै हिँडेर चाहिँ फेरि जम्प गरेर उफ्रेर अन्त सुत्दै रहेछ. बट एज सुन एज आई बिगिन टु गेट अफ टु स्लिप देयर इज अनदर पुल. सो जस्तो सक्क ऊ म्यानेज गरेर अब सुत्नु फेरि खोज्दाखेरि चाहिँ अगेन सेकेन्ड अट्याक, अगेन सेकेन्ड टाइम उठेर अगेन धत्ताको जस्तो के गर्नु, हिँड्नु उफ्रिनु. अब and this may happen 20 times. It's very weird. Okay, imagine this kind of attack happens to him how many times a night? 20 times a night. 20 पल्ट चाहिँ ऊ उफ्रेर के भन्छ वक गरेर त्यहाँदेखि त्यो पुल फिल गरेर. अब इमेजिन अ नर्मल पर्सन स्लिपिङ नेक्स्ट टु यु. ओके, एन्ड उसलाई पनि त्यस्तो खालको अट्याक भयो भने तिमीहरू के हुन्छ? युल बी लाइक उसलाई चाहिँ के भूत छोड्यो. युल फिल द्याट द पर्सन इज पोजेस्ड, राइट? किनकि he does all the possible sorts of actions at night. So it is quite scary. So this is the drawback of whom? Of Lomov. Okay, तर उसले आफ्नो ड्रब्याक पनि के गर्यो, कन्फेस गर्यो कि see, I want to marry but I have this problem also. Okay, but you will know that Chubukov ignores his problem because he is more into property. अब उसलाई बिहा गर्यो भने he is a wealthy person, so मेरो छोरीले wealth पाउँछ, so forget about what his disease is, what his reaction all about. Okay, now moving on to the next. After talking about the disease, I feel it's very important, but it is very important for you all to remember the disease, the explanation of all the kinds of things that he says, very important for your answer. Okay, now after talking about the disease, it's the Natalia who comes in. Okay, Natalia comes into the scene, and now Natalia is wearing an apron, okay, and she is trying to shelling off the dry peas for drying. Okay, so के भन्दैछ, peas को बोक्रा निकाल्दै उले चाहिँ drying को लागि चाहिँ बाहिर निकाल्नुको लागि जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ she happens to see whom? Lomov, and she offers him cigar and she talks with him affectionately, she greets him. Okay, and त्यति बेला चाहिँ उनीहरुको normal conversation हुन्छ. They talk about weather, they talk about how their families respected each other. So in a way it is a very affectionate and a very lovely conversation they have initial. So पहिला चाहिँ उनीहरुको कस्तो टक हुन्छ, राम्रो टक हुँदै गरेको हुन्छ. Okay, they talk about how Natalia says how she could not send her workers for work because of the wetland, है, भिजेको ल्यान्डले गर्दाखेरि उसले वर्कर्सहरुलाई सेन्ड गर्न सकेन. And how Lomov also says that his family respected whose family? Chubukov's family, Natalia's family. एउटा happy conversation नै सेट हुँदै गर्दा चाहिँ Lomov accidentally says, not accidentally but casually says that you will remember that my Oxen Meadows touch your birchwoods. Now what is an Oxen Meadow? An Oxen Meadow is a plot of land and the owner of that Oxen Meadow is supposed to be Lomov. Okay, and birchwood is also another plot of land and the owner of this is Chubukov, Natalia's father. So this is a diagrammatic representation of the three lands that which they mention in the play. That is birchwood, Chubukov is the owner, Oxen Meadow, the green one, Lomov is the owner, okay, and burnt marsh, where Chubukov is the owner. Okay, now who is the owner of Oxen Meadow is the real question. In fact, the entire play revolves around this particular matter, subject matter, that is who is the real owner of Oxen Meadow. So yahanira चाहिँ problem चाहिँ के भयो भने चाहिँ my Oxen Meadow touches your brushwood भनेर लोमोभले भन्दैछ, my मेरो Oxen Meadow भन्दैछ. But according to Natalia, Oxen Meadow is not Lomov's, but it is her and her father's property. Okay, Natalia excuse me भनेर भन्छ हैन, त्यहाँदेखि उसको के हुन्छ रिप्लाई, उसको नेक्स्ट आन्सर, excuse my interrupting you, you say my Oxen Meadows, but are they yours भनेछ. नटालियाले सोध्दैछ, you are saying तिमीले क्लेम गर्दैछौ that is your भनेर, is it really yours भनेर सोध्दैछ. Lomov says yes, mine, it is mine भन्दैछ. Natalia says, what are you talking about? Oxen Meadows are ours, not yours. So Oxen Meadow चाहिँ तिम्रो हैन, हाम्रो, के कुरा गरेको भनेर भन्दैछ. अब just a minute ago they were having a happy conversation. अब suddenly there's a change in the mood of the conversation also, and they eventually slowly they will start arguing. Okay, their mood will change from lovable mood to angry mood. Now they are angry. Okay, and according to Natalia, this is a diagrammatic representation of what Natalia says in the third section. Okay, she says both my grandfather and great grandfather, usko jun चाहिँ grandfather र great grandfather ले चाहिँ reckoned भन्नु भएको थियो कि that their land extended to burnt marsh, which means that Oxen Meadows were ours. So उनीहरुको great grandfather र grandfather ले के भनेको थियो रहेछ, उनीहरुको property चाहिँ कहाँसम्म extend भएको रहेछ, तपाईको burnt marsh सम्म extend भएको रहेछ. So that means Oxen Meadow is between birchwood and birch marsh. So in a way Oxen Meadow कसको property भयो, नटालियाहरुकै property भयो. So this is what she tries to tell whom, Lomov. But Lomov says no, Oxen Meadows is ours. So in the next slide I will give you the history of Oxen Meadow as said by Lomov. Now the next slide, okay, which I have titled it as Hypocrite, Natalia and Chekhov. Okay, उनीहरु एकदमै strange खालके weird मान्छे छ, जो बोल्छ त्यो गर्दैन, जो गर्छ त्यो भन्दैन. Okay, something like that. Okay, so when Lomov in fact even says that he has a legal document claiming that the property belongs to whom, Lomov. Okay, but Natalia says it's okay. Anyway, the Oxen Meadow is a small patch of land, it's a small plot of land. It has not worth. Okay, it is not worth of like even 300 rubles, hardly 300 rubles. So I don't want it. Okay, so Lomov is so tired with the conversation, not with the conversation, but with the argument, that he in fact even says that, okay, since you claim that land is to be yours, I am the actual owner of the land, more actual owner land ko, but I will what? Gift you as a, I will give you that land as a gift and you take that land away. I don't want Lomovle bandesa haina. Aba he is even planning to give Natalia that particular patch of land as a gift. But Natalia on the other hand is such a hypocrite. She herself says and claims that the land go worth hardly 300 rubles but she also says on the other hand, she says, no, I cannot stand unfairness. Who are you to even give me that land as a gift? I myself will give you that land as a gift. It is egoistic is Natalia. She in return says ki, Timiko, who are you to give me that particular land as a gift? Okay, I am the owner of Oxen Meadow. Mo po the land the owner. Mo timila ulta dinchu. Land to gift garera. And hardly त्यो कति 300 rubles को पनि value छैन, worth छैन. Okay, and but I cannot stand unfairness भन्दैछ. अब यो चाहिँ unfair भयो. I am the owner and you are claiming it to be as the owner and उल्टा मलाई दिन्छौ भनेर चाहिँ उलाई hypocritical answerहरुले दिँदैछ ओके म चाहिँ unfairness withstand गर्न सक्दिन भनेर भन्दैछ so therefore she says you know these meadows aren't worth much to me मेरो लागि कति पनि भ्यालु छैन त्यो Oxen Meadow को they only come to 5 dissidents that is there okay and are worth perhaps 300 rubles को खाली भ्यालु छ okay but I can't stand unfairness say what you will but I can't stand unfairness injustice से म stand गर्न सक्दिन because that land is legally ours and not yours and which I cannot you have to understand basically he is trying to say and Chibuku says okay this is another line this is just the first dialogue I have given you to highlight the hypocritical attitude of Natalia on the other hand Chibuku is also equally hypocritical you know strange character matlabi very business minded very selfish character how I will tell you so in the first line, in the first scene, that is the meet scene, which I have already explained to you in my first slide before I started the play. Since you know Chibuku and Lomov meets together, right? And when Natalia makes her entry, Natalia says, "Papa, who has come? Ko aako cha?" So her papa in turn replies, he could have easily replied saying ki Lomov aako cha, Lomov has come. No. He replies it in a very commercial way. You know how he says? Chibuku says, when Natalia asks, "Ko aako cha?" Chibuku replies saying, "Go, there's a merchant come for his goods." Euta merchant aako cha, afno saman linu, afno goods linu, aako cha bhancha. So yahanira timro goods chai ko ho? Natalia ho. Okay, because what is the purpose of Lomov's meet out there? Lomov has basically come for what? The proposal. He has come to ask the hand of whom? He's come to ask the hand of Natalia. And the papa le tabata ke aksa, you're a merchant aako cha bhandecha. It's a merchant, obviously he's a businessman, right? And afno goods linu, afno saman linu aako cha bhandecha. So here you can understand from this particular line only timirle bujhnu sakchau ki how hypocritical and how business minded is his father, who considers his own daughter as one good, as one product. Okay, and she's apparently giving it away to whom? One man for what? Property, for property and wealth and so many things. Okay, so therefore he says, Chibuku says, go there, a merchant come for his goods. So Natalia is considered like a commodity, a good, a product just to consider gareko cha. So for them, so in a way you can understand, for them marriage is not a union between two lovers, but it is between the two. Marriage between the two is more like a deal for profit, a deal for wealth, a deal for more property, So there's no sort of love, but there's only what? There's more of business, there's more of money, there's more of wealth, there's more of profit, and there's more of helplessness. Since koi pani bhetina, यसलाई बनाउँछु a scapegoat हुन्छ नि. अब केटाकोमा पनि already problem छ. Okay, he's suffering from a disease, and which I feel a normal girl would not accept a person like Lomov, जो राति राति धताएर नसुतेर धताउँदै बसिबस्छ every time, and he has this problem and it repeats it like how many times? 20 times a night. Okay, which is quite weird and strange and funny. Okay, and but Natalia is looking is of a marriageable age, and she's also looking for what? She's looking for a man, a good man, a wealthy man to marry her. So when both the person are waiting for an opportunity, so they are just what? Seizing the opportunity. They're just grabbing it. They're just ignoring all the flaws. Okay. Now, the history of Oxen Meadow. Now, they talk about the history of Oxen Meadow. According to Lomov, it is his aunt's grandmother, which is equal to Lomov's great grandmother, अब Lomov को चाहिँ great grandmother ले चाहिँ she has given this Oxen Meadow for free use to the farmer of whose farmer? Of Chubukov's grandfather, which is equals to Natalia's great grandfather. So for how many years? For 40 years. Okay, so in return, that is Chubukov's grandfather, which is also known as Natalia's great grandfather, in return they gave or they made bricks for her. For how many years? For 40 years. So 40 वर्षसम्म चाहिँ grandmother ले, that is Lomov को great grandmother, अब Lomov को auntie को ग्रान्डमदर चाहिँ के भयो? लोमोभ को ग्रेट ग्रान्डमदर भयो नि त। लोमोभ को ग्रेट ग्रान्डमदरले चाहिँ त्यो तपाईको ओक्सन मेडो चाहिँ के गर्न फ्री युटिलाइजेसन को लागि चाहिँ दिएको थियो रहेछ। कसलाई? नटालियाको ग्रेट ग्रान्डफादरलाई। भनेपछि चुबुकुवको ग्रान्डफादरले चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ के गरेको थियो रहेछ? त्यो चलाएको थियो रहेछ। ओके, त्यो ल्यान्ड प्लट अफ ल्यान्ड चाहिँ आफ्नो फार्मर्सहरुलाई चाहिँ युज गर्नु दिएको चलाउनुको लागि मागेको थियो रहेछ। उनीहरुले चलाएको रहेछ। त्यसको बदली चाहिँ उनीहरुले के गर्थे रहेछ? लोमोभको ग्रेट ग्रान्डमदरलाई चाहिँ तपाईको ब्रिक्स बनाएर ईटा बनाएर चाहिँ दिन्थे रहेछ। कति वर्षको लागि? 40 years. So since the farmers use the land for 40 years, okay, they eventually regarded that particular piece of land as their own. Okay, so 40 वर्षसम्म त्यो फ्री युज गरेको गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ लास्टमा फार्मर्स एन्ड इन्क्लुडिङ द ग्रान्डफादर, ग्रेट ग्रान्डफादरहरूले चाहिँ के गरेछ? मेरो हो, उनीहरुकै ल्यान्ड हो भनेर चाहिँ के गरेछ? उनीहरुले बिलिफ, त्यही सेल्फ बिलिफमा चाहिँ बसेर चाहिँ यता चाहिँ नटालियाले चाहिँ हाम्रो भन्दैछ। तर यहाँनिर चाहिँ लोमोभको हिस्ट्री अनुसार, लोमोभले हिस्ट्री अफ अक्सन मेडो दिएको छ, त्यो भएको कारण चाहिँ खासमा चाहिँ यो रहेछ। Lomov even claims that he has a legal document claiming that the property is his. So, यो part चाहिँ तिमीहरुको very important हो. You must remember and focus. Aunt's grandmother. अब जस्ट तिमीहरुलाई लोमोभ्स ग्रेट ग्रान्डमदर चाहिँ मैले कन्सेप्टको लागि खाली दिएको, तर what you have to mention in your answer is it's aunt's grandmother. लोमोभ्स aunt's grandmother ले चाहिँ अक्सन मेडो चाहिँ कति वर्षको लागि? 40 years को लागि फ्री युज को लागि यहाँ दिएको थियो। कोलाई? That is father's grandfather. It was Natalia's father's grandfather. Okay, उलाई दिएको थियो। अन्त उसले चाहिँ उसको बदली चाहिँ के गर्यो? के दियो? फ्री ब्रिक्स बनाएर दियो। कति वर्षको लागि? 40 years. Must remember, okay? 40 years, and eventually they regarded as their own. So यो चाहिँ तपाईको के हो? यो चाहिँ diagrammatic representation of what Lomov tells whom? Natalia. यो paragraph, the previous paragraph which is तपाईले सबैले you must remember it. Okay, the reason to marry Natalia, the meet, the proposal, अन्त यो the disease, and also the history of Oxen Meadows. In this way, the two characters, that is Lomov and Natalia, are having heated conversation, heated argument. Okay, एकदमै डरलाग्दो argument भइरहेको हुन्छ। त्यस बीचमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ? Since Lomov is a person who suffers from this kind of palpitations and all, uska heartbeat rapid hunu thalyo, fast hunu thalyo, okay, and he in a way gets kind of attack, pull everywhere, and he is shouting and screaming at whom? Natalia too equally screaming at him. So when the situation is quite hot, okay, and heated up, and this it is quite funny, okay, the way the narrator describes how Lomov looks. Okay, he's unable to walk and he's unable to talk, he's blushing with red, and he's unable to fight with Natalia, because Natalia is like a hard opinionated woman and going on and on. And in that particular moment, when there is so much of combustion happening there, who makes the entry? That is Chubukov, who comes there, okay? And Chubukov later gets to know about the reason for the argument, and Chubukov also supports whom? His daughter Natalia, and claims Lomov that it is their property. Oxen Meadow is their property and not Lomov's. So Lomov in turn gets angry, he's heated up, and he in fact tells, no, I will take you all to the court, I will take the matter to the court, okay. And in that particular moment, Chubukov and Natalia are so much into the argument, and all the three characters are so into argument that they will, in fact, Lomov will forget the reason why he had come there. Okay, he had actually come there to ask the hand of Natalia, but things get worse and they are fighting like cats and dogs. Okay, and Chubukov too supports his daughter and showers Lomov with malicious meaning bad words. Okay, like he calls both Natalia and the father calls Lomov as double-faced. You have to read the play for that. Okay, I have just highlighted all these things for your understanding. Okay, so he calls him double-faced, intriguer, okay, backbiter, rascal, and scarecrow, dishonest, mean, blind hen, turnip ghost. So just a while ago, Chubukov calls before the conversation, before the meet only, or after the meet, just a while ago, Chubukov calls, refers to Lomov as angel and darling and all that, and just after a while, how he changes his personality and calls him double-faced, intriguer, backbiter, dishonest, mean, blind, turnip ghost and all that. Okay. And Chubukov and Natalia together insults Lomov and his family. Yes, they don't stop at this particular moment. They even go further that, and Chubukov and Natalia even plunges into Lomov's family history, and Chubukov in fact calls his family as lunatic family, having the history of lunacy, meaning mad family. Okay, Pakla Parivar. And in fact he says that Chubukov says that Lomov's father was a drunkard and his younger aunt married an architect or eloped with an architect. So in that way, he insults Chubukov insults Lomov's entire family hierarchy and family, and so in this way they fight, and Lomov also in turn says that Chubukov's mother was humpback meaning kupro pareko. Okay, so bulge shoulder is the back side, bulge kupro pareko mother ones, and so in this way they argue a lot, they fight a lot. Okay, and it's quite hilarious, it's quite funny also to see them. If you see the proposal play, you'll just laugh. In fact, when you read also you laugh, because the scene is quite hilarious and funny. Okay, so Etanida palpitations bhairako cha, and he is like red and he's sweating and his heartbeat is high and he's screaming. Both the father and the daughter are ignoring everything and just pounding on him like hungry animals, and he's like a meek lamb but still trying to fight against the two, tiger and tigress. And in that way he even asks for water because the person suffers from palpitation now, so he's looking for water. Okay, but then the two men, that Chubukov and his daughter, ignores everything and keeps on fighting with him, and in a way he is heartbroken. So Lomov at the end is heartbroken and he chooses to leave the place. Okay, so what happens is heartbroken Lomov leaves the house with excess palpitation. So in that way he leaves the place, the particular house, and not runs away, but he's fed up with the argument. Okay, so eventually he goes without asking the hand of Natalia. So when Lomov leaves the house, Chubukov at that particular moment tells Natalia that tells about the purpose of Lomov's meet, and he says that Lomov had basically come to ask your hand. Okay, it tells Natalia. Natalia is shocked and surprised and screams at her father, and tells, "Why didn't you tell me before? Malai tapaile kina paila nabhannu bhako? I would have reacted in a different way." Okay, and that's she gets to know that he has come to marry her. Okay, come to ask her hand, and she feels she's like torn apart between, she's like shocked, and the father is also a bit upset, and Lomov on the other hand leaves the place, and today's slide, and that's how we are going to end today, because after that there are so many things that will happen. Okay, so we are going to stop here for now and continue the second half of the summary in the next lesson. This is just a basic summary which I am giving you all, because in my next to next episodes or the upcoming episodes I will talk about the second half of the summary, and then we will give you the critical explanation of the summary. We will just pick lines and critically, talk about the characters, talk about the plot, and also about the themes. Okay, so we have much more to do in the later upcoming episodes. For now I will stop here. We will talk about the second half of the story later in my other episode. Okay, so let's wrap up, and yeah, you all stay motivated, stay sane, study well, and stay warm, and thank you.